Hey, Chris.
Hey, Rylan. My dancing is just too provocative.
I had that problem too.
What do I do?
Let me show you.
Hip bump, the hip hip bump. It's not about your feet and it's not about your rump.
Cause it's the hip bump, the hip hip bump. If you can't bump your hip, then you must be a chump.
Cause it's the hip bump, hip bump, hip bump, hip bump. Well, the hip bump is not a dance, it's hard to do. So sit down, focus up, and let me show you.
Make your hand like an eel, make a pelvic collision. To choose not to do the hip bump is the wrong decision.
You see, basically the dance is what the name implies.
Well, that plus a stone cold look in your eyes.
Go find an unsuspecting victim on a casual stroll. Then you do the hip bump
and stare into their soul.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, Austin.
What are you guys doing?
I'm teaching Chris how to do the hip bump.
Oh, you mean that one dance no one should ever do?
Never ever.
Hip bump, the hip hip bump is not about your beat and it's not about your rump.
Cause it's the hip bump, the hip hip bump. If you can't bump your hip, then you must be a chump.
Cause it's the hip bump, hip bump, hip bump, hip bump. Scientists say the hip bump's effect on the brain is equivalent to being hit
by a train.
Now science is a thing I never understood, but I like trains, so that sounds pretty good.
The hip bump solves your problems, or at least you forget them, because nothing else matters when you're feeling the rhythm. And if women give you trouble, well, they certainly won't. Women love the hip bump,
except they don't. Hip bump, hip hip bump. It's not about your feet and it's not about your rump. Cause it's a hip bump, the hip hip bump. If you can't bump your hip, then you must be a chump. Cause it's a hip bump, the hip hip bump. Hip bump, hip bump's the only thing you need in your life. You don't need rhyming, cause rhyming is dumb.
The hip bump is awful, it'll kill all your friends. The hip bump is a nightmare,
one that never ends.
Hip bump.
Oh, okay.